Continuing with this article that Julian McKinley posted, 15,000 words, 150 odd paragraphs, Total War Rome 2 and Creative Assembly, my statement 10 years on. Today I'm going to be going through the marketing efforts, the brand department, and the set piece marketing promotional trailer things that they did, especially the Siege of Carthage. This was the big one, 2.6 million views. The final game is actually going to look way, way better than this. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, so I've got the Siege of Carthage, I've got Teutoburg, I've got the Nile. These were the three main ones, I think. Then I've got a link to an example of the actual battle in the live game that someone uploaded. It looks totally different as you'd expect. And I've got me and my friend on launch day, our first combined land and sea battle, which happened here on launch day. And I can show you some things with that as well. But yeah, this is part of the article. This is where the Carthage is first mentioned in the leadership culture section, where he's talking about the relationship between the designers and the programmers, of which he is one. So, designers are the developers responsible for making decisions, features it should have, balance and difficulty, and the overall creative vision. But the nature of game design challenge is that it has to work within technical and production constraints, and so usually good management will empower both design and engineering efforts along with other disciplines so that they can complement each other and collaborate effectively. And this is especially important on a technically ambitious game series like Total War, which involves a number of substantial engineering challenges, including AI development, which is what he does. But that's not what happened at Creative Assembly. So he explains, I'll go into this with precision in a later video. For now I'm just talking about marketing, brand, and Siege of Carthage. And it's hard to overstate how big of a deal the Siege of Carthage trailer was, which is why they put so much resources into it, because they knew it would be. This is seen as one of Rome's big challenges, salting the earth, defeating Hannibal and his entire family. This is who the Romans were vying for to dominate the Mediterranean. This is what it all built up to. Attacking Carthage, and they decided to use this for their marketing. So this is meant to be Rome 2 at its best, like really ambitious, large scale, epic. So yeah, they went all in on this. So he's talking about combined land and naval battles, which is a first for Rome 2. He describes how usually you would build up to it, you would have it be demonstrated proof of concept, and then you'd just build it up in the next game, like subsequent games build it up more and more. For example, Empire introduced naval battles full stop and had a lot of bugs. It was really ambitious. Whenever you attempt a massive new feature, it causes a lot of problems. It's a really big challenge. So they decided to just go straight to having land and naval battles at the same time. Since Empire had naval battles, but they were completely separate from land battles, and the codebase had been developed without any expectation that they might one day be unified. So this is a massive challenge for the developers, especially the programmers. This is a behemoth of a task. What that meant was that you had one part of the codebase that handled land units and land-based combat, and another part of the codebase that handled ships and naval combat, and neither half had been designed with other in mind. The battle programming team was asked to deliver combined land and naval battles as a core feature in Rome 2, and our lead warned that combining those parts of the codebase would require a lot of the code to be changed, and it would create a lot of bugs that we would spend most of the project dealing with. And we couldn't guarantee that it would be stable by the end of the project. Yeah. Leadership said do it anyway. Just do it anyway. And it was crap, and they just eventually dropped after Attila. So it just shows, their judgment was really bad. They will put this massive mountain to climb in front of their team, their developers. They will scale it eventually, lose limbs on the way up, and then the feature will just get tossed out after 2 games. Oh man. They then went ahead with the Carthage trailer, which demonstrated an amphibious assault and locked us into delivering the feature. It locked them into a lot, but they never followed on through on delivering much of it, so when the game shipped, combined battles were riddled with bugs, yeah. And I've got an example here. So this is a naval landing. I'm now bombarding a unit on the coast. no,
Oh,
stop, stop, stop.
Oh, it's firing.
Oh,
That
a guy in the
Kill
back.
one guy, he's on
Yeah, so I notice here that I'm shooting them with impunity from the sea, and they're not even trying to get out of the way. They're not even trying to do anything. They're just facing the complete wrong direction and getting shot in the butt and just reforming to fill in the hole and just going to die. So I remarked later on in this battle that I could have just sat here and ballisted them down man by man, one at a time, for, 50 minutes? I think it's about 58 minutes, 20 seconds. So yeah, I could have just massacred them like this. So you've got to design AI with all of these new systems in mind. You've got to design you've got to balance it all just for a start. Like, you've got to do so much work when you integrate a new feature like this, or a new capability, and it wasn't really done. For example, the AI is just doing nothing, as you can see. It doesn't know how to handle getting shot at from the sea. It doesn't know what to do. So it just breaks the game, really. The people that lack honour are going to just exploit this shit. The people that refuse to cheat are going to just feel like they're holding the AI's hand. Like, it has so many problems. And when the AI is just really bad in general, and then you add this on top of it, it's like even a normal, competent AI, like, oh, if they finally turn around, now their shields are actually facing what's coming in. They're no longer just holding them up in the complete wrong direction. Yeah, the AI on land battles alone was basically non-functional, so when you add on this, it shows how the actual capabilities of the team in the studio was being totally exceeded by the expectations that were placed on them. Screams mismanagement. They can't even get a pretty straightforward open settlement siege to work where there's no walls, because the units didn't even do anything. They can't even get that right by launch, so now they're expecting to have AI working in a combined land and sea battle. So it just conveys the scale of the mismanagement, really. It really does. This is like, there's so many videos on YouTube showing the day one experience and how bad this was. And of course, it's also mentioned further down in the article. You've got ships just careening through the desert. That's a quote from the article. And it's a phrase that I think is found that might even precede the article by like a decade. I think I've heard that before. But as you can see, look, it's just clipped right into the sand. Eventually you had ships that were, like, there's these anchor points that are equidistant all across the beach, which is one thing that doesn't make sense. That seems like a design crutch. So on a beach this size, you could only fit about 4 ships. I mean, there might not even be any space here for more ships. This is where they beached. The AI just immediately beached its ships. So having ships there, like, they decided immediately at the start of the battle. I'll see if I can find it. They decided not to even try. I'm talking about combined land and sea battles a bit early here. I would probably want to dedicate a video to that, but I'm just showing, like, this was on launch day, so this was September 2013, and the Siege of Carthage was uploaded almost a year earlier, in October 2012. So even a year added on to this,
2 years have passed.
they still didn't have, they still were not even close to having it figured out. So yeah, I'm going to try and find this. Yeah, so we get into the battle, we hit start, and immediately the AI just disembarks. So that's probably a crutch that was in place, because it might have been sensible to just keep them at sea and then try and do things from the sea after we attack. That's what a smart AI would do. That's what a player would probably do. You wouldn't just disembark them and not even try and destroy the transports, you know? It doesn't make sense, but that's what the AI did. I think they probably did that in every battle. I doubt there was even any checks, like there wasn't even a behaviour check or a behaviour tree. Do I attack the fleet or do I land? They probably just landed. I'm not sure about that, but I'm just guessing. That would be a way they would just deal with the problem of ships just sitting there doing nothing and the player could just kill them. It's a lot better to have them sitting doing nothing so the player can just kill them on land, and that's what they do instead. You know, I'm just talking about how this is, like, you saw it there appearing, there's the disembark, so you see the distance. That's the only place I could disembark here, one space. So I'm talking about the crutches here. Yeah, it's just, there's so many crutches and so many problems, so many quick solutions, so many band-aid fixes, if you want to call them that. Yeah, it just wasn't ready at all. It just wasn't. And then with Attila, it even had some of these legacy problems that I'm describing, like with the beach placement. So they were nowhere near being in the position to deliver this feature, and they did it anyway, and then they abandoned it after Attila because they didn't do it well, and no one wanted to use it, so they put all this effort into this feature that they didn't think through properly, weren't in the position to deliver, and just cut it because no one used it. Which is pretty much the whole story of naval battles in general. They don't even have them anymore. They attempt features, don't do them properly, and then cut them. And I think they've pretty much done that with sieges as well. I'd be surprised if these future Total War games that are just relying heavily on IP even bother with siege battles. I really would be. How do you have siege battles in a Star Wars game? How do you have siege battles in a 40k game? Someone tell me, I have no clue. So that's another reason that they might just have those IPs, because no one's going to care if there's siege battles, no one's going to care if there's combined land and naval battles, they don't care. So they're not going to do them. It's probably just going to be a really stripped down game every time from now on, yeah. They tried to reintroduce sieges, but they were better in Medieval 1 22 years ago, so yeah. And I should also comment that the Empire Total War naval battles were the best naval battles that the Total War ever had. You had different kinds of shot. Fall of the Samurai naval battles were really cool, but they didn't even have wind, you know. Yeah, so we had ships pathfinding through the land, getting stuck or otherwise breaking the gameplay. It was a mess and took us numerous patches to sort out, so a lot of people will look at that, see Roman triremes careening through the desert, and think, well, this is obviously just terrible programming. But in my view, that was clearly undesign leadership. We warned them it would be hard to deliver and would lead to bugs, and they made us do it anyway. We would have approached it with caution, maybe worked towards it over a couple of projects until it was stable and proven in terms of game design. Yeah, so this is the problem with these combined land and naval battles. It seems like a big part of why they decided to try that was just to have it in the Siege of Carthage trailer, which is really sad. Marketing demos, so I'm onto this section now. Prior to Rome 2, marketing had little presence at Creative Assembly, as it should. That's what I would hope. As many resources as possible should go towards the actual game. It's really just... I've been complaining about this since Rome 2, for good reason. Even the marketing for Warhammer 3 had big problems, as I saw it. We had a small number of people working in PR and communications roles, and brand and marketing seemed to be mostly Sega's purview. Starting with Rome 2, we had an in-house brand department who were much more directly involved with the project. Brand department, much more directly involved with the project. This is corroborating a lot of what I've been told and subsequently reported, and seemed to have been given significant influence over its production and management. Fuck! For the first time, the production schedule was organised around a series of marketing demos which would be released at certain times during the development of the game. By marketing demo, I mean a demonstration of gameplay, sometimes not even gameplay, like sometimes it's this usage of the word gameplay where there's no gameplay whatsoever, and it's just a pre-release development environment with heavy scripting. Gameplay shown publicly for marketing purposes either as a video trailer, yeah, those are the ones that have no gameplay, or as a playable build offered to players at public events. The most prominent of these were the Siege of Carthage trailer, the Teutoburg Forest trailer, and the Hannibal campaign trailer. Oh man, I don't know if this was from before launch. I'm not going to do any Googling at the moment. There was also an E3 demo in 2013 and a special review build made for members of the press to play when reviewing the game. Yep. Every one of these would have costed resources that should have been going towards the game. It's a lot of things. Like, you're not just developing a game, you're developing all of these little fucking projects while the game is in development. It's really bad. The dates of these demos became a production milestones, and the game's schedule was organised so that the game's features were developed in the order that they were needed for the demos. Oh man. As far as I know, the marketing demos were all delivered on time. Yeah, but some of them, like this is riddled with graphics glitches, clipping, things blinking in and out of existence, really dodgy scripts, projectiles being fired out of sand or water, like no one's even firing them. Like, it's all just artificial. Like, see, these, they look like they're coming out of the sky. Like, there's no onagers firing these. Like, you do see onagers in the side of the city in one shot, but I don't think they're even doing anything. I think they're just basically a doorstop. Like, they're just sitting there. Like, see these, all of these fireballs? I don't think these can even be traced back to ships. I think they're just scripted to just fly over randomly. And you can even look at some of these projectiles. Like, see them? I don't think they're even doing anything when they hit the ground. Yeah, I'll get into that though. Yeah, so when the Carthage trailer and the Teutoburg Forest trailers were released, there really wasn't a game to play. The demos themselves were custom built in the engine, using a lot of scripting and purpose-built components. Yeah, that don't even make it into the game. Scripting that is useless for the actual game, and purpose-built components that are thrown away as soon as the trailer's finished being recorded. It's sad. It's like a movie set. You set up this big set, you get the shot you want, cut, and then you tear down the set. And that's what this is. You can interact with them provided you understood how the scripting worked and followed the expected timing and sequence of events. I know exactly what they're talking about here because I've had some experience going back a decade of using builds of games that are pre-release and trying to get things to happen that you want recorded. While these did end up shipping as historical battles, semi-scripted battle scenarios as a separate feature to the main campaign mode, it was their importance as marketing assets that caused their development to be prioritised. Each of these demos was really a vertical slice, so named because if you imagine the whole game laid out from start of the player experience to the end of it, with all of its components layered, UI, AI, pathfinding, levels, animation, etc., a vertical slice is a small portion of the game that demonstrates all those components. Essentially, it's when you make 5 or 10 minutes of your game without making the rest of the game in order to demonstrate what the final game will look and play like. They're almost always made early on in a project, usually to prove game concepts to the team or to convince stakeholders to fund the rest of the game. Yeah, I explained this with Alien Isolation. That was a successful vertical slice that people liked and that impressed people that would have had to decide whether it went ahead, and that worked. But you don't market your game with it because you're not showing the game, you're just showing an idea. It's a tool, an internal tool to help get the game made and to be a success. It's not marketing. And they're a perfectly reasonable development tool when they're used internally to help align the team on the vision or secure funding. Yeah, exactly, yeah. The problem is when the marketing department takes it and decides to show it to the public. Yeah, exactly. I didn't read this today, I read it when it went live, but I'm just agreeing with this and it's leading me and I'm just going right there. As though it was so the problem is when the marketing department takes it and decides to show it to the public as though it was representative of the actual game at that point in development. Exactly, like this. I cannot agree more with this stuff. While it might sound straightforward to just build a few minutes worth of a game instead of the full game, which might take tens or hundreds of hours to play, the reality is that games involve a lot of systems and components that don't actually change much between the beginning and end of the game. A few minutes worth of polished gameplay might require most, if not all, of your game systems to be completed. The pathfinding either works or it doesn't work. It's generally not much easier to make 5 minutes worth of pathfinding, especially if it has to perform to the same level of quality as it will in the final game. Components like story, cutscenes, level design and environment art are the sort of things that might change over time. Yeah, see this big filter that's just thrown right over this? It kind of looks like a sunset or something, and then it goes really dark here. It's really weird. It's bright here. Where does it actually get dark? It just gets dark for no reason. See that? It just turns dark. What the fuck? What the hell is that? Why is everything dark now?
Got naval forces and land forces in the...
Yeah, I should just watch this whole thing through. Yeah, so that's an example. You have this filter over everything, and I even remember, and now it gets really bright because it's meant to look all desiccated and like you're choking on how hot everything is. And there's contrast, immense contrast. Look at the shadows. There's extreme contrast with the shadows. They've just been sitting going over this with a pass. a post-production pass of just heavy saturation, heavy contrast. It's so bizarre. And the game, of course, doesn't look anything like that. It's just Rome 2 here. But there were some battles that you play in Rome 2, especially near launch, where everything would just look yellow or orange. It was like they'd watched 300 or something, and they wanted to just give half of the battles a feeling like you were just watching 300. Maybe they saw all the videos on YouTube around 2008, 2010 that were just basically copying Thermopylae, where it was Spartans on a bridge with pajama men running over, getting slaughtered. I don't know, because those videos did rack up a lot of views, and I have remarked on that before. They're just pandering to the 300 people, I think. And of course, the pre-order bonus for this was Spartans. Where was I? components like story, cutscenes, level design, environment art, the sort of things that might change, whereas all your game systems, like your game mechanics, AI, user interface, all of your art that's reused through the game, not to mention all of your technology like engine, rendering tools, etc., all of that is generally horizontal and that doesn't change over the duration of the game. Yeah, so if you're making a vertical slice early on in your project, how can you show 5 minutes of gameplay if you haven't built your systems yet? The answer is you cut corners however you can and fake things if you have to, like these projectiles that are just flying out of the sea and just landing in nothing. Like, you don't need to render a detonation, an impact, and special effects for a fireball if it's landed behind a wall and the player can't even see it. So for this entire take, from when the recording starts here to when it cuts away, you don't have to render any of these fireballs. So it won't happen. Like, they would probably just crash the game anyway, they probably haven't even been implemented yet. And whenever you see them coming in the other direction, like, they probably even have 2 types of fireballs or something. Like the ones, look at that, look, it lands short of the wall. I don't think it even registers look, it goes through the wall, that's what I'm talking about. So this is a purely... This is like a weather effect. This is like rain. It doesn't have any physics. It doesn't collide with anything. Maybe the walls don't even collide with anything. That fireball just goes straight through that wall and disappears. So does that one. And these ones that come in the other direction, I don't think they even have any effects. You'd have to wait. I think there are some where you can sort of see it. There might be a radius thing where if it's with a certain distance from the camera, then nothing happens. It just disappears. Like, is there any... Look, there's nothing there. So that's an example of faking it. Yeah, you fake it if you have to. Your script behaviours... You use canned animations to represent events that should be happening organically, and there's loads of canned behaviours in this. I'll get an example.
This is the...
Wait, it's here. This is not in the game. This never made into the game. And then the camera cuts away suddenly, I wonder why. Yeah, so... You script behaviours, you use canned animations to represent events that should be happening organically, you write code that handles just the specific cases you need it to, and not the general problem you're going to have in the actual game. Smoke and mirrors, basically. Smoke and mirrors. This is what happened during the development of Rome 2, despite the fact that the game at that point was still under heavy development and it was still many months before basic features would become playable. We were managing to produce something that looked like polished gameplay, something that could only be done by faking a lot of it. Oh my god. I had a comment on my first video covering this article where someone commented on how Battlefield 4 and Rome 2 came out at the same time, and Battlefield 4 was just as broken as Rome 2, maybe even less broken, and it had a class action lawsuit filed against it because, just for a start, you know that big that multiplayer map that had the big towers, the big skyscraper in the middle, the one skyscraper? Every time the pillars were blown up and this skyscraper was meant to just collapse and turn the whole map into like a 9/11 dust-filled, obscured hellhole, the game would just crash for everyone in the server. So it's like they marketed this feature that didn't even work. You couldn't even play the map properly. Well, that's just an example. It had loads of problems though, and there was a class action lawsuit against Battlefield 4 and DICE, I think. So it's the same thing here. Like, this, none of this is real. This is all fake as fuck. It's fucking fake. It shouldn't have been shown to the public as though it was legitimate gameplay footage. And this, unfortunately, was the entire purpose of prioritizing these demos, to show this to the public, to market the game, to get 2.6 million views, to get 500,000 pre-orders, to have us be sitting playing the game on launch when the whole fucking game was broken. Fucking bastards. I need to try to be as clear as I can about what was fake about the demos, like the Siege of Carthage. We weren't building a whole new game. We had a lot of game systems brought over from Shogun 2, so we did have pathfinding, unit formations, artillery, etc., and certainly a lot of work was done while working towards the demo milestone that was included in the actual game. So I'm not saying it was completely fake, much of it was real. I think I should try and find how much of this is fake and just comment on this, because I don't think I've ever done this before, just played this fucking video and just had my eyes and my brain running at full speed to just see as much as I can. This is the sort of thing that you could honestly just pick apart frame by frame and spot all the bullshit, because this is how this was designed frame by frame. They planned out, like, they probably had a general guideline of what they want to see, and then they had people implement it, and then they adapted it as they went on what was feasible and what would be most bang for buck in terms of how spectacular it is.
Is once again revisiting Roman history.
Like, they have this guy here standing on the boat, and they record that. Let's get to it.
Until 20 assembly.
Yeah, so here we go.
Still standers.
What we're showing you see, the city had been under siege for several years,
Yeah.
and we're going to see old Scipio's grandson, the young consul Scipio Aemilianus, command the final
Even the way the camera works is just not in the game. Like, the camera doesn't do this.
assault on Carthage.
This is meant to be like Saving Private Ryan. Like, see the fireballs that fly over to the sea and disappear? That's obviously inspired by Saving Private Ryan, when you have mortars and German 105 and 150 mil just fucking bombarding the coast, even the landing crafts as they're going in. It's so obviously inspired by Saving Private Ryan. That would have been one of the main talking points of this fucking vision of this trailer, just Saving Private Ryan as inspiration. Let's do it as if Spielberg himself was designing this. We are Spielbergs here.
Consul, the fleet is ready.
30 seconds!
Tiberius.
God be with you!
No prisoners, no mercy. Kill them all.
Yes, Consul. Forward!
I'll see you on the beach! Clear those murder holes!
You know, we've got Scipio here commanding the Roman fleet approaching the beach. So you can see there the huge scale of the fleet.
Count these ships. You cannot have this many ships in the game. And I even remember when I was looking at this earlier, they mentioned something like multiple ships per unit. I don't think the game had that.
And the fact that we've got multiple ships per unit, which really adds to the sense of scale. And here's the Roman
For
fleet.
the trailer, not for the game. I'm right about that, I don't remember there being multiple ships per unit. Am I right or am I wrong? Let me know.
Approaching the beach. So this really showcases a new battle type, which is a combined battle. So you've got naval forces and land forces in the same battlefield, but not only that, you see the men on the ship disembark to fight on land. And so here they're...
It is cool. It is a cool idea. They obviously just didn't delay the game to finish it. They were too ambitious. They wanted too much in too short of a time period. They should have delayed the game. They should have worked on it for another 2 years. They should have done a whole load of things differently. This game could have been great, but they made shit decisions and they rushed it, obviously.
approaching the beach, and they're going to disembark to join the siege. And the combined battles really add a load of gameplay in terms of, you know, cat and mouse.
I think I see some of these projectiles exploding there. I saw one there, I think.
On the coast and the defence of the beach versus the defence of the city, and we're really experimenting with different ways to make that gameplay work really, really well.
Yeah, I think I even see it bouncing there. Yeah,
guys disembarking onto the beach. This is, you know, what we're trying to achieve here is get a real sense of almost the Saving Private Ryan of the ancient world. So we really want to get the camera down.
Yep. So they've got all these projectiles flying out here because they know the camera's going to be looking here right now. This is all scripted. Nothing's firing these. You don't have like 100 onagers inside the city. They're not there. There are no onagers to fire these.
And
there you go, an impact. But why did the cannonball not careen through the formation? You know, it's like that was a bit disappointing.
Dark of that.
Let's keep looking at these though.
Vision of war, where you really make this human scale of battle come alive, and it's part of that dark.
I don't think these are even being commanded. Like it says here, as I've said before, gameplay demo. I don't think these are actually being commanded by a player. This is all just scripted behaviour. Ship lands here, unit gets out, unit runs up to the wall, and cut, and that's it, that's all it does.
Vision of war, a more gritty, realistic...
There's not going to be persistence between any of these takes. Like, they're going to have... this is just the way I would estimate that this worked. They probably had like 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 or 20 segments, and every time the camera cuts, they get a chance to go again. So, like, see, the longer the camera runs, the more you're compounding probabilities, I should say, and the more likely something will go wrong and you have to start again. So rather than doing it all in one take and having everything go well, they cut it down into little bits that they just need to record over and over again until everything's right. Like, the person controlling the camera has to have the camera facing the right way. All the scripted events have to fire. None of the units have to bug out horrifically. the game has to just not crash. Like, the pre-development environment that they're running for this has to just not crash. Like I've said, I've had experience doing this on top of being a YouTuber that's had to record ambitious gameplay where loads of improbabilities have to go my way. It's a bit like speedrunning, you could even say. Like, every time a speedrunner says RNG, they're talking about a filter that's going to just kill like 75% or 90% or 95% of runs. That's what this is like. There's all these things that have to go right at the same time. So the better the people recording this are at recording, the less work the programmers and the scripters and all this have to do to get everything to work really well, because they can take some of the pressure off them by just running it over and over and over and over again until everything goes right. So the programmers will do the best they can and just say, alright, see if you can do it with this, and then the people recording this are going to try, and eventually they'll get it, and then you'll see the finished result, which is right here.
Feel to the way the
because as Julian said, like, this is all that he's not saying it was completely fake, much of it was real, but all of the things that are new here are pretty much going to be fake. Like, all the canned animations, all the fucking fireballs that are coming out here are fake as well.
work.
A lot of the stuff they focus on is just fake as
Here
fuck.
you can see the shipborne artillery as part of...
These are not getting fired out of the ships, I'd be surprised. It'd be a lot easier to just keep the camera facing away from that and not having to do that part. So they're just coming out of the sea, or near the sea. Look at the distance that would have to travel. Like, if you project backwards, where would that even come from? You know, that's what I'm talking about.
Another feature of combined battles, obviously, you can have, you know, artillery on ships.
Look, watch
Another
this.
feature of combined battles, obviously, you can have, you know, artillery on ships.
That just comes out of nowhere. There's nothing there. Look, there's nothing there. So that was a mistake with the camera. They decided to just... They either didn't notice this, or they were just like, oh, fuck it, just leave it in.
As well as on land, and these...
This is a problem with faking it, though. Like, it's hard to fake 100 different things at the same time, because you can't conceal all of them all the time, so some of them will make it through and you can notice it. And there it goes right through the wall. So its inception was fake, it just came out of the air, and it terminated in a way that was fake by just going through a wall or disappearing at the wall. I don't know which one.
Three pieces on the ships bombarding the city. So as I said, huge...
Another fake one. I've commented on them already.
There, because this is the
Let's look
capital
here,
city of your great enemy here.
Yeah, so they're scripted to just disembark and run up here and stand there.
We really want to make the city feel like it's been...
Look at that as well. Like, this is a thing. Like, that, it would take a lot of work. Like, see the way they're segmented here? It would take work. They would have to design things to have this happen. Like, they would have to either have slots behind here, like they had in Fall of the Samurai and Empire, where they stand behind an object and there's places that they run to and they fill in the slots on it, or they've designed a way that this unit is going to end up. I don't know how they would do this. I couldn't even begin to speculate how they made this work. This is one unit here. Like, I think this is the bit where the unit's split. So that unit has arranged itself in a unique way that would have taken effort to have it do that. So it's just wasted effort.
Feel like it's been under siege for several years, so it's a kind of darker view of siege war. It's not, you know, a kind of fresh city that we've had before.
Even the way the archers are arranged here, see, look, this is not in the game. The archers don't do this in the game. It's trying to make the units no longer just feel like what they've always been, which is rectangular blobs. It's trying to make out that we've got a new behaviour. Look, they're spaced out, and they're going to be trying to return fire. Like, it's almost like Saving Private Ryan or something. Like, they know they have a job to do, and there's a way to stand that's unique and novel, and they're going to try and do it. Like, this is all fake.
It's damaged, it's worn.
And they're going up the tower, so they were told to do that.
It's dark, it's smoking.
Who's firing these arrows? Look,
make this approach.
We saw archers there, but the archers are not firing, are they?
Approach to the final battle for one of your great enemies. We want
stuff's just landing there and not doing anything. I saw that.
So, you know, we've got
what is that? Like, what's firing
siege
that?
Towers here.
It's not archers over there firing that.
To feel apocalyptic.
This is absolutely massive, by the way. Like, this is a massive theatre.
So, you know, we've got these siege towers.
It seems like we have archers there that are firing at something.
As I said, the siege had been underway for several years, but this is the final assault from a navy. So we're really breaking down.
And are there archers on those walls? I think there may be.
Had been underway for several years.
Yeah, I think I see them.
This is the final assault from a navy. So we're really breaking down the barriers between armies and navies, and that's obviously got a huge impact on the campaign map as well, because it means.
Well, there's the onagers there. They have guys standing behind them, but I don't think they're firing anything. I don't think they actually are firing. Because can you imagine the range they would have to actually be participating right now? It's just not part of the game.
Navies here.
All this is not real as well, by the way. Like, You've got this Acropolis thing up here. Look, there's all this crap to the left that's just not there. Look, all this here is not in the game. Look, it's just nothing there, it's empty. Look, there's nothing there, it ends here. They've just totally cut it down, see? Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
Because as I said, the siege
This
has
is
been
all gone.
underway for several years. But
This is gone
this
as
the
well,
final assault.
isn't it? Look, there's no mound. Yeah, there's no mound. It's all different. Yeah.
From a navy, so we're really breaking down the barriers between armies and navies, and that's
Basically, they just designed a big spectacle here, a big spectacular city with multiple levels, and the game doesn't have it. Let's take a look inside the city. Yeah, it's just all the same level, and then there's this here at the back. Oh man, I do see this here, but it's totally different from this.
got huge
I
impact.
think this
on
is even
campaign
higher up, is it? Yeah, I think that's higher up.
map
And this
as
one
well,
is way
because it
higher up.
means
Look at that.
Navies
It's fucking
here,
immense. There's a big wall in front of it as well. Yeah, it's different. It's like this is way higher up here. You've got this statue as well. Do we have that there? Yeah, I see a statue here. Is that the same? Yeah. Alright.
can attack cities.
I think it's way bigger to the right as well, isn't it? Yeah. It's just a tiny city here as well. I think this was something people complained about. It's just tinier. Yeah. And of course this is all gone. Let's have a look at the coast. Let's see if we can see shit on the coast. Right, so they do have some of these barricades. They're different though, aren't they? Yeah, that looks really different. Like, see this here? You can see the scale of this. Like, what is all this crap over there? What is all this?
To the final
What
battle
is
be a
this?
great for one of your great
Palisades?
enemies. We want it to feel apocalyptic.
So they've got multiple levels of palisades, and here you've got just tiny little palisades. Let's go back, see if I can... Yeah, look at that. Oh man, you start so close as well to the city. Whereas over here, there's this big distance you have to
we've
travel.
got these siege towers here. They're in place because, as I said, the siege had been underway for several years. But this is the final assault from a navy. So we're really breaking down the barriers between armies and navies, and that's
Disappearing
obviously
into
got
the
a huge
wall
impact on the campaign map as well.
Did that just fire there? Maybe something fired. Let's have a look.
On the campaign map as well.
Did I see one of these onagers actually firing? Gonna have a look.
Huge impact on
I think this comes from behind these. I don't think it's fired.
campaign map.
Nah. Alright, I think they've scripted a fireball would just appear above the onagers and nothing happens. Yeah.
Well, because it means that navies here can attack cities.
Look at this, man. Look at that trajectory there. The archers are trading fire, though. Wait a minute, are the archers there? I think I see some. So they have archers working, it looks like, in this. Oh yeah, look at that, it just disappeared, like. Oh, I see an impact there. But that one just disappeared. I think that one just disappeared. Look at these trajectories, holy shit. Camera shakes and you hear it.
Tactical view.
Some of them are real, like I think there's just a range where some of them are real and some of them are not.
Tactical overview really helps the player orient themselves in these large
This is an operational view, by the way, not a tactical view. You're going up, not down.
city environments. We don't want the player to be controlling the game from this perspective. It's really an orientation tool. We want the player to be able to understand what kinds of because there are very specific relationships in terms of
Here we go.
One particular unit might be strong against another unit, but not against the third type of unit. We want the player to understand what's going on the battlefield. We want the player, particularly in terms of the spatial awareness.
You see a lot of glitches here because you have a lot of stuff going on in a confined space. So you see things clipping around, you see things just flashing, things disappearing.
We want the player to be able to
look at that, you see a big square appearing there. Camera goes through that guy's head even though it's nowhere near it.
We want the player to be able to
square on
understand
that guy's
what's going
helmet.
on and see threats and where they're coming from.
Oh, this is a good view.
But player to be able to understand what's
They were too tempted to turn the camera around and have a look.
going on and see threats and where they're coming from. But
I think these archers are
absolutely not
firing.
to control the battle from that perspective.
These are making impacts.
So this is an example of
What is all?
from that perspective.
Where are these arrows coming from though? It's like you can't really trace these back to an origin.
where they're coming from, but absolutely not to control the battle.
And yeah, you can really see here fucking fireballs just flying out of the air above the ships to pretend that they're the ones shooting them. Fucking hell.
Perspective.
Look, that one up there.
Coming from, but
where the hell is this supposed to be coming from? Holy shit. What the fuck?
absolutely not to
just
control
so
the battle
fake.
from that perspective.
That looked weird as well,
But,
like that
absolutely
impact.
not to control the battle from that perspective.
That should not have landed there, should it? Oh my god. It's like the impacts were scripted separately from the actual projectiles. Like there's a scripted projectile that's meant to go out, and then there's an impact that they script on top of that, so it's like they can't even have the impact follow from the projectiles. That's what it looks like sometimes. I want to show you what I mean. It's like they're done separately. A minute. That looked weird. Yeah, that looks weird. It might just be the angle there, but that looks strange.
So this is an example of our unit camera, and we're really experimenting with ways to get the player.
Oh yeah, the unit camera. This is something that was really interesting to read about. Legend of Total War already talked about this in his video, so I don't want to just go over the same ground. But yeah, this is really funny. There was a big there was a big push by the designers to have this be a useful feature, and they wanted players to use it, but they just ended up not using it. So they thought about lying to the players, actually lying to them.
Down into the action.
It gives you a bonus.
Prepare for battle, men. Remember,
If you use this, it gives you a bonus. No, it doesn't.
destroy them. Glory.
But it's part
Onagers coming from over there. Let's have a look at this in slow motion. Yeah, nothing there. I don't think there's anything there firing that.
but it's part
I've
of
commented a lot on the projectiles, but these are the fireworks that are carrying this in this fucking trailer. And they're just not a part of this. Like, there's nothing flying anywhere here. There's nothing. There's no fireballs appearing out of the ground anywhere. Because players would go over and look and think, holy shit, this is stupid. Fireballs just appearing out of nothing. Look, all it is some rocks. They're not even on fire. There's nothing coming out of the city, flying all over the place. Look, there's just nothing going on. There's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 smokestacks about that. Look, nothing's getting fired out. It's all fake as fuck.
humanizing the combat and really bringing out the idea that these thousands and thousands of men, each one is an individual fighting his guts out. And so we've got things like facial animations, emotional interactions
Goldfish
between
mouth
men,
movements, yeah.
that really helps bring out that sense of warfare at the human scale. As
There
well
it goes
as
again, just flies through the
the
wall.
grand scale. This huge city obviously has multiple capture points. That's something we haven't had before. Where previously you'd have
Going through the wall again.
core battle for a central plaza.
It's like
But
there's nothing else going on really. It's just units are running around while there's fireballs flying everywhere. There's actually just nothing going on in this.
where previously
There's no gameplay happening to comment on. It's all just aesthetic. There's nothing going on.
you'd have a core battle for a central plaza.
There's just a fake fireworks show happening while units run around in a scripted manner, I presume, that haven't even been commanded with a normal player interface. Come on.
But Carthage here has several different capture points, and that means that the gameplay is completely different inside the city. You've got a much better sort of sense
Why
of
did
cat
that wall fall
and
down?
mouse.
Because as we've
The
seen,
gameplay is completely
these fireballs don't do anything to walls, they just go straight through them, so that wall was scripted to just fall down.
different inside the city.
Look,
capture
it fell
points.
down before
And
the
that
fireball
means
arrived at it to
that
hit it.
The gameplay is completely different inside the city.
Look at that, nothing hit it and it fell down. And the camera zoomed in on it to show that it fell down. Oh my god, that one was shoddy.
You've got a much better sort of sense of cat and mouse
And
because
the fact that the same fireball goes through 3 times at the same angle. Holy shit. Look at this. Alright, let's count it.
Carthage here has several
count it.
different capture points, and that
Right.
means that
Camera just inconspicuously, innocently just pivots to the right at this exact moment. We see
The
the
game-
trail of a fireball that went straight. Alright, so it goes just above this first window here, bottom left window, alright.
it's completely different inside the
Oh, and then it goes again, pretty much the same place. That's the second fireball that took this exact trajectory.
City, you've got
And
a
now
much
let's look
better
again.
sense of cat and mouse because
Oh my god, a third one, it does the same thing. Right, yeah.
you've got a reason.
At least
to
the
have
trajectory was a little bit different, there was a bit of spread on it.
multiple breaches so that you can capture different points. The
And then this unit happens to just run over to this breach that was created totally artificially.
defender isn't just incentivized after a breach
And these
is
ones
made
go
to
through as
pull
well.
back into the plaza.
So they wanted a second breach to open up and for units to just start running through it while the camera watches it happen. So they had a script, just make the wall collapse,
And
I think.
you get this kind
That's
of
what it
mosh
looks
pit.
like to me.
No, instead we've got real cat and mouse gameplay. You've got to defend multiple points. The attacker can
Is there going to be a fourth fireball flying through this breach in the same
do
way?
lots of different things. They can
Alright,
they can
there won't be.
concentrate on one point.
Is this part of it as well? I don't know, I didn't see any water here. I can't remember, I've never played this. I could not be arsed, to be honest. I don't think there's any water here, I don't think so. Well, this is a port inside the city. Is this part of it? I'm gonna just look through the preview. They've got something here, over here. But it's not even inside the city, it's off to the right. It's
We'll
totally
move to
different, isn't
another
it?
when they send
This is that structure there, isn't it? That round structure. So they're looking through it up there, and you've got... it looks changed. This looks smaller. Come on, show me it better, show me it better. This building is this building, I think. Could be. But...
weakness. Here you see
I don't know.
the Roman fleet coming into the Carthaginian.
Fleet coming in there, can you do that in this? Can you do that? I don't know, I can't even remember if you start with ships, do you? Do you not start... Alright, you start with ships, so you could have done that. At least you could sort of try and emulate it then. But are there any points where you can land? I don't think there are. You need to have beach, don't you? Fucking hell, you can't even do this.
Harbour.
It's showing ships come in here to land, but you can't even do that because you need to have those little latchment points, little anchors that you can preview and drop them on, and it has to just be sand. So this is all fake as well.
Again, the
Oh
whole
man,
combined
yeah.
battles adds to that richness in terms of, certainly in terms of a coastal city.
Alright, and this is one of those things that were noticed by Reynolds Sanity before launch. Like he was one of the only people that were pointing out problems with this game before launch. Me and Cosmic were noticing some of them, and we were doing a podcast and talking about it, but see this thing that you're about to see here? He noticed this right away and he made a video pointing out similarities to Empire. Here we go. See that? They all just smosh together into a two-man thick band. They all just collapse. This is one of the worst things about Rome 2, by the way, and it's a hangover from Empire. Even Shogun 2 suffers from this to some extent. It's really bad here though, this was like the worst I've ever seen. Look at that, they just all disappear into a one-man thick line almost. Holy shit. Yeah, he pointed this out, and he was observing the problems have not been fixed. Rome 2 is scheduled to be a disaster in terms of the infantry combat, which, as I've emphasised before, like this is a Rome Total War game. Roman infantry. Legions, heavy infantry. If the infantry combat in your game is fucked, how the hell can it be a Roman Empire game? What the hell, man?
In Shogun, you've got individual samurais seeking out other samurais, and they have this sort of elegance.
Yeah, so they did this to have the ships in the background so you could see them, to sort of emphasise, like, there's this going on here, but there's also ships, and this is meant to be new and really surprising. Well, look at this clipping.
Sword play. But
Yeah.
in the Roman era, we really want to get a...
What the hell was that?
In the Roman era, we
Weird.
really want to get a sense of that
Didn't
kind of
bounce.
brutal, mechanistic group
It's a shame because some of the projectiles in the live game were actually cool. Like, you could fire fireballs at a hill and then they would roll down and kill guys on the way down the hill. Like, that was one of the few things that I liked in Rome 2 when the game launched that I'd never seen before. You could have fireballs just rolling down hills after being shot from an onager that would just kill guys. It was cool. That was cool. You could deliberately play for that.
combat, particularly for the Roman legions, that kind of meat grinder style, that mechanized style. We really want to get a greater sense of sort of visceral impact. So I think, it's part of making the game feel more visceral and have a slightly darker, grittier feel, certainly in terms of the battlefield.
Look at all those things just flashing down there. Holy shit, texture glitches, lighting glitches. Look at all this flashing. Sometimes you have to be surprised that they actually use this footage, don't you? Like, my god, you would have to insist on cleaning that up. It looks so bad, man.
the Total War engine, you know, over the years we've learned so much about how to get.
And they were getting charged and just sitting there. It was a bit weird.
Really optimize the performance in terms of being able to
You can see those infantry skating around on the ground, just sort of ice skating as well.
deal with thousands and thousands
People
of men
did
on
notice
screen
that
at once,
stuff.
and the fact that when you zoom in you get a huge amount of detail. But we also want to make sure that the game, as well as taking advantage of the best that the most powerful machines have to offer, we also want to make sure that, you know, the game's playable on
Oh man, look at that, they're like Skittles.
on lower end machines too. So our goal is to make sure that the game
And I don't think they could do a pullout like that in the final game. That's a bit weird.
has the same minimum spec as Shogun 2. Now we're not, you know, we're going to do everything we can to try and achieve that. We can't guarantee it, but that is what we're trying to achieve. We're really pushing the look of the game.
What was that cut there? That was strange.
The
That was
look
like a
of-
stitch,
the look
an
of the
attempted
game, but
stitch.
The look of the look. We're really pushing the look of
Yeah, that's a really bad stitch, my god. But it's really hard to stitch together two things like that where the camera is moving diagonally and you have to... like, it would have been better to just go down low to a street and then go up the street and then try and stitch it like that. That's really blatant though, like fuck's sake. Like, see when I was doing Dishonored videos and I would try and do stitches, I would have it be like when you open a door or when you blink and the screen flashes and it's really consistent.
trying to achieve. We really
So see what they're
pushing
trying to
the-
do
the
when they do
look-
this stuff.
the look
Like, these cuts are really conspicuous to me, and if everything was going to go well, like, they would have tried to make this happen, whatever it is that's going to happen from now on, but it didn't happen in that last cut, so they had to just cut when the camera was moving up here and just take and have another take and try and do it again. So let's
the
see why they
game,
did
but
that.
This is super early code. We're way pre-alpha, and what that means is there's loads of features, not just in terms
Yeah,
of
I don't know. Maybe like all the things started glitching out and clipping, and textures looked horrible, or maybe the guy on the camera just did a horrible pan and the camera just flew around. I'm just speculating. Anything could have happened here. It's probably not even something that anyone would know at this point.
the graphics, but also in terms of the combat and the
But you would
animation.
count up all the cuts. Like whenever the camera cuts, you would see how many tries they had at recording a 9-minute video here.
That actually aren't in the game yet, so the final game's actually going to look way better than this.
Yeah. They obviously wanted it to, but no way.
You know, we're working our guts out on this game, and we're determined to make it the best Total War game ever. We've got a huge budget for the game, about 40% bigger than anything we've done before, so we're absolutely
See them flashing down there.
determined to make it the most epic Total War title ever. The bad news is we're not
I've never seen this in the game. I think I would remember this stuff. Let's just put here just so the camera could fly down and look at it. Like, it would have just been a list of things to do, and they would have just done it. They would have just had dozens of, or even hundreds of tries at this, of just having the camera be in the right place at the right time while everything works. And this would have been the thing to do. Like, this is the prompt. You go up to the top, you look around, down at all the chaos below, all the fire, the carnage that's been wrought, and then the camera flies down, finds this wall, looks at this graffiti that's been placed here just for this, and that you never see in the full game. Maybe this doesn't even make it into the full game. It's really conspicuously placed, and then the camera turns left.
going to be releasing until the second half of 2013.
And then this weird takeover happens. Like, there's a scripted thing where the camera just gets taken over
So next
and
late
starts
next year,
doing weird stuff that's fully scripted. Even the camera's scripted now. It's stuck. And then this thing gets hit by these shots out of nowhere for no reason. This is scripted as well. Like, this is extremely blatantly scripted. You don't even have to look for it. You know this is scripted now. And then the camera rocks its way down here. Guys fall down. Wilhelm scream that's put in here. And then this scripted behaviour happens. They must have spent a long time on getting all this to work. Holy shit. But this is all just fully scripted, canned animations now. Doubt this even makes it into the game. And then the elephant comes down. And then it cuts out there, and they just let the sound keep going. They probably just edited the sound over, and that's not even in the game. Probably just superimposed over the final, like in post-production. Yeah. This smoke isn't even real either, like all this dust. It's not even real, you can't do that in the game, it's all fake as fuck, man. It's so fake. There's no fucking smoke and dust like this in the game, man. You can't collapse buildings and just cause the streets to fill with fucking smoke and no one can see anything. I know they implemented line of sight mechanic and all that, but this doesn't happen. You can't use the line of sight mechanic for this stuff. You can't cause streets to be filled with smoke and ash like in that episode in the finale of Game of Thrones. Fuck's sake, it's so fake, man.
Steady! Steady!
And that's scripted as well. Like, there's just, after this, the elephant and the guy probably just freeze, and then everything just keeps going on around them, you know? They probably just stand there frozen. But they wouldn't have that in this. It would cut to black. Yeah. And that's how you fake a trailer, and that's how it's explained. I'm not saying it was completely fake, much of it was real, but a lot of what made it impressive and differentiated it from Shogun 2 was fake. First of all, there was no AI. All of the enemy units were scripted. Yeah, I had a feeling. Lots of parts of the game were only partly working at that point. Like, see all these unit movements? Like, this is all scripted. There's no one giving commands here. Like, this is just like, you know when you're doing a historical battle and the units are just running around on their own doing stuff, getting into position, getting charged off, like the Roman infantry or the Roman cavalry in that, the Battle of, what is it, Cannae, is it? No. Battle of, yeah, so here's my Darth mod version of Carrie. Like, this is all scripted as well. No one commands these units to do this. They're doing this in the game. They've been scripted to do this. They run out. The Roman cavalry get charged, and that's scripted as well. The player can't do anything yet. So all of the player's cavalry, all the Roman cavalry gets wiped out in a way that's scripted. It is happening inside the game engine. Like, this is all happening inside this instance of this level. But it's not the player that's doing it. The player isn't interfacing with this whatsoever. It's all automated. It's all scripted. So that is what you're looking at here. Like, there's no gameplay. You're looking at a fake thing that's going on. Like, all these units are all fake. I'm glad he confirms that. That's really interesting. It's really good to have that confirmed. Lots of parts of the game were only partly working at that point. Things like siege towers and disembarkation from ships were demonstrated as working, but would still need a lot of work over the course of the project. Siege towers and disembarkation from ships. Yeah, that looked real. I didn't shit on that all, did I? This all is actually happening. It'd be easier to just have this working than to have something this complex be faked. My god, just like move the models down onto the sand. Like, this all looked real. When they were climbing up the siege towers, that looked real. Like, this is all real, and this looks like it did in the final game. They are clipping through each other a lot though, and just landing inside each other a bit, I think. And also the siege towers, they are climbing up those, absolutely. I did notice that they were climbing up those, and they actually were climbing up. Yeah, see? This is all real. They had this implemented. But do you see the siege towers moving? I don't think you see them moving at any point, do you? Oh, wait. They're moving? Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay. So the siege towers do work. They work. He confirms that they work, and they're working. Good. Yeah, so siege towers and disembarkation from ships were demonstrated as working, but still need a lot of work. A lot of the cool moments were scripted. Artillery hitting and collapsing buildings. Yeah, absolutely fake. Like, that's. I think he's talking especially about the end here. Artillery hitting and collapsing buildings. Yeah, but as I've observed, like, the artillery on the whole is super fake looking. It's hard to really tell where the line is between what's fake and what's real here with artillery. They're just flying out of the sky. They are flying through walls without colliding. Like, they're just clipping through walls, all the projectiles. So it's really hard to tell. Elephants charging through dust clouds. Yeah, dust clouds are fake. Elephant charges are fake. Things like that tended not to be real gameplay. Cool moments where the commander issues a speech to his men or shouts commands to the troops before engaging the enemy, all scripted. Even if everything in that demo had been fully representative of the Carthage battle that we would end up shipping, it still was not representative of the state of Rome 2 at that time. And that's the danger. Like, even if they intended on having the game end up representing this, which would have been really far-fetched, like, I think they knew back then, like, it's going to be a hell of a fucking miracle if we get the final game to, what was it he said, it'll end up looking better than this.
Animations that actually so never. We're working our guts out on this game, and we're determined to make it the best Total War game ever. We've got a huge budget for the game, about 40% bigger than anything we've done before, so we're absolutely determined to make it the most epic Total War title ever. The bad news is we're not going to be releasing until game super early code. We're way pre-alpha, and what that means is there's loads of features, not just in terms of That is what we're trying to achieve. We really put spec as Shogun 2. Now we're not, we're going to do everything we can.
Oh my god, I need to find it. It's gonna look way better than this. It's gonna look way better than this. Final game, final. Oh yeah.
In the game yet, so the final game's actually going to look way better than this.
I don't know how you believe that. That seems naive as hell. Holy shit. Might be hindsight, but my god, that just... I think everyone was ridiculing that at that point. I think a lot of people knew that sounded like bullshit. My god, it's like you're so far behind that you have to script all this stuff, and at the same time you're saying, we're not just going to make up the difference. In the meantime, we're going to exceed it eventually. Holy shit. And the fact that you have to spend all this time scripting, it makes that goal even more unlikely. My god. The idea in theory was that Siege of Carthage was our target for the final game, and that was what we would eventually make. Okay, so that was the target. So we can hit the target or we can miss it, but that's the target. But even that wasn't true in practice. Oh my god. Because there were features that went into the demo that weren't even on the project plan. This is really incriminating. Fuck marketing departments, fuck brand. Sometimes I'd ask a question about something I saw in the demo and whether we were actually going to have it in the game, and you get an answer like, oh well, we really wanted it to look really epic and cinematic. But it was clear they hadn't really considered whether that feature would be feasible in the game. Oh my god, they hadn't even done the essential due diligence before they show it in the marketing. Holy fuck. Or if there was time for it on the schedule. In some cases, we even had to go back and try to add features to the game simply because someone had put them in the trailer. And yeah, and I was told a story about this where someone said to me, someone who worked on Empire told me, we had to look at the back of the box to see what features we would have to put in the game. It's the same again. Someone put them in the trailer and they were told to deliver them because they've been shown to the public. For fuck's sake. So it's like the marketing is just off in a world of its own, hogging resources and just falsely advertising bullshit to people. Oh, they have a separate mission. Their mission is not to make the game better. Their existence actively makes the game worse because they just siphon resources off of the game. Not even money, but personnel and work hours from important, talented people. And their time gets wasted on fucking bullshit like this. This is useless, man. This is useless. How does this give me any fun whatsoever? This is just annoying. Fucking annoys the hell out of me to watch this at this point. So fake, man. Fucking knew it was fake when I watched this shit. And now it's just more obviously fake than ever, and we have explanations. We have confirmation that it was absolutely fake as fuck, and that they knew it was fake. Look. Oh well, we wanted to have it look really epic and cinematic. Fuck yous. Fuckers.
Consul, the fleet is ready.
And then you look at it here, and how does it start?
Rome had her eye on Carthage's territory, and excuses were found to resume hostilities.
Hit. The attack begins.
Milianus.
This is it. The attack begins. Carthage falls today.
It's just a little guy in the corner with a mouth that doesn't even move properly.
Carthage falls today. Attack begins.
Come on.
This is it. The attack begins. Carthage falls today.
Alright, so it does track it a little bit, but this is like another goldfish mouth movement. So, for a trailer, we get this.
Burn the city, Tiberius.
Look at that! We get all of this. Nice clip there. We get all of this.
No prisoners. No mercy.
What's the word for that? Tearing? I think I might have said clipping. It's tearing. Screen tearing.
Fleet is ready.
Burn the city, Tiberius.
Look! He's fully animated. His mouth moves to the words and everything.
No prisoners. No mercy. Kill them all.
Kill them all! And then we get this in the actual game. A little guy in the corner going, Carthage falls today!
Hit. The attack begins. Carthage falls today.
Can you imagine? Oh my god, if people had known that it's gonna look so much better. Right, where was it again? Alright, so it was about here?
Way pre-alpha, and what that means is there's loads of features, not just in terms of the graphics, can't guarantee it, but that is what we're trying to achieve. We're really pushing the look at the way loads of graphics, but also in terms of the combat and the animation aren't in the game yet. So the final game's actually going to look way better than this.
Carthage forced to do. Oh my god. That's it, that's all you get. Holy shit, they didn't even use... I'm right, I mean, this isn't even in the final game. Like, there's not a cutscene before this. Let's see if there's a... Does that even make it into the game? I don't know. I don't think it does. It seems like it loads in, right? And then it gives you this, and then it just cuts straight to Carthage falls today, and there's none of that stuff.
Is a past, and the walls of Carthage still stand, and they will continue to stand.
Yeah, look, they've even got this creative assembly flash in here with all the smoke and everything. This is all purpose built just for this trailer. For fuck's sake, you bastards.
Yeah, Lianus, and part of the siege.
And fury and glory for Rome.
What we're showing here is part of the siege.
Yeah, so glory for Rome, and then it cuts straight to the commentary. This was the plan all along, surely, wasn't it? For fuck's sake. And then Teutoburg. I could probably do this all over again for Teutoburg, but I'm not going to do it.
Give me back my legions!
Crashing into the Roman column and retreating back into the forest.
I think in this you see loads of horrible glitches, like shields clipping through guys' heads and stuff. This is all going to be heavily scripted as well. Yeah. Alright, well, I'll leave it at that. Once again, read the article, because so much truth being revealed. Read the article, like it, comment on it. I'm really grateful Julian posted this. It's good to finally be told the truth and no longer just feel gaslit by this company over its fucking disgusting marketing. I'm glad I finally read this. It was worth the wait to find this out. To have someone finally just come out and say, yeah, Siege of Carthage was fake, y'all were right all along. Finally someone admits it. The company didn't admit it. Someone had to leave the company and then 10 years later finally tell us. I'm really grateful. Hopefully y'all are as well. Hopefully this helped to give some context to this and really pad it out and show exactly what he's talking about. I tried, I did my best. This is a hell of a mess. This 10-minute video. But yeah, hopefully I managed to substantiate what he's saying here. Someone had to do it. There's so many other things that people could read through though and talk about. Like, someone else could just do this for the Teutoburg Forest trailer, try and notice this stuff there. Hannibal campaign trailer. Yeah, feel free, anyone out there that wants to do this. I'll even watch the videos if you make them and try and notice this stuff. Wanted it to look really epic and cinematic. So how is all of this related to the production issues? We're doing all of that scripting work, adding all of that polish to make the demos look as cool as possible. That all cost development time. These demos were important deadlines, and in the lead up to them, they would take priority over everything else, and staff would sometimes be working overtime to get their contributions done in time. Oh man. So a lot of developers end up spending a lot of time getting features working, half working, or helping to add polish on what was ultimately a small facet of the overall project. My god, I can see that there, like, that's what I'm talking about. See that? Carthage falls today! Like, the actual game itself just got fucking scraps. It got scraps. My god. Carthage falls today! A little man in the top corner, for fuck's sake. Consider the number of these demos and how much work was involved in making them. It's not an exaggeration to say that for a significant portion of the project's development, the team was making marketing trailers when it should have been focused on making the actual game. Fucking brand department having control over games is fucking cancer. Holy shit. Marketing is a business reality, and I suppose it's fair that some effort be diverted to support it. I'd seen some of this on previous projects, such as Shogun 2's battle demonstration for E3 2010, which was also essentially a vertical slice and did take several weeks of the development team's time. Oh my god, there's so much that you can do in several weeks. With Rome 2 though, the time and priority given to these demos was far greater than several weeks, and totally disproportionate, even taking into account the need for marketing. Holy shit. I can attest that in addition to putting the whole project behind schedule, this is part of why Rome 2 was shit. The fucking marketing bullshit, the fake crap. These marketing demos also directly impacted AI development. In one case, one of the Battle AI programmers was diverted for several weeks to help develop the AI for a playable E3 demo, which was made a high priority, and that time would clearly have been better spent fixing AI bugs, especially as it was only a few months from launch. In theory, that work might have counted towards development, except the process for that demo was very experimental, and the developers spent most of the time reacting to the ever-changing design. Oh my god. And none of that work ended up being very useful for the perspective of getting the actual game done. Even when we were done with marketing trailers and we're trying to finish the game, there was a review build we had to focus on for a press event about a month prior to launch. This event was held in Rome itself on the set of HBO's Rome TV series, and press from all over the world were invited there to play the game in order to write their reviews. We spent valuable resources on getting reviews, good reviews from press, and most importantly decide their review scores. But what they were given to play was not simply the late stable build of the game itself, but a specially created campaign scenario that also had a fair amount of scripting and sort of held reviewers' hands through the experience more than the actual game would. Yeah. And again, so they're actually trying to deceive reviewers, basically, like they're pretending to them that it's sort of representative of the game, but not really. And again, this was the absolute priority of the team while it was being finished. This build was a lot more representative of the final game than the Carthage demo had been, which was not at all, really, just looking at it again. And that it did actually use the AI in the real game systems, but there was work done to hide away things that weren't working properly yet. Man, so they were actually trying to just cover up for the game's shortcomings to try and get good review scores. And all of that, yet again, took time away from core development when we were already way behind schedule, needed to get the actual game finished. Fucking hell. Final paragraph now. These market demos and special builds took time away from developers and used them as a service to the marketing department. Fucking hell. Whenever people have told me, marketing budget is separate from actual game development budget. Look at this. And that should never have been allowed. I think leadership wanted to have its cake and eat it too. Have its cake and eat it. To develop an ambitious game project on a tight schedule while also getting to release slick trailers to promote the game along the way without investing additional resources that should have been required. Yeah. This confirms so much of what I've heard, so much of what leakers have told me, so much of what they've complained about with the brand department. This is it. Just got that fucking brand department. It's just fucking... It is, look, we've had confirmation that it's contributing towards the ruination of these games. It's just there to get undeserved pre-orders and undeserved buys of these products. Like, it's just pulling a fast one. It's a bait and switch. It's hoodwinking people. It's deceiving people with deceptive marketing. All of that shit I was doing around 2013 after Rome 2, where I was bringing up the advertising. What was that again? Is it 1979 advertising standards or something? There's laws on this. It looks to me like they're just flouting these advertising laws and regulations. Like, all these bodies that are there to enforce this stuff should be doing that. It's so ridiculous, man. And it's sad because I was even watching some of the Warhammer 3 marketing that was happening a couple of years ago and thinking, this seems scripted, this seems fake, this seems like it isn't even going to really be in the game. This reeks of Siege of Carthage. And sure enough, Warhammer 3 launched and it was an absolute disaster, wasn't it? So they've not learned their lesson, obviously. And now that we have news that they're going all in on these hyped IPs from now on, the incentive to lean even harder into this deceptive marketing has never been greater. Yep. That's it from me, I think. Read the article, everyone. Hope you found this interesting. I tried to support this as much as I could here by going through this stuff. Hopefully I did it justice. Hopefully I found what he was talking about and you could see it for yourself. And once again, I hope other people look at this and examine this. This is something that should be studied, and we should be rooting through these trailers to try and corroborate these claims, which I think are pretty self-evident. But it's interesting just to see how true this is, and take it under advisement for future games whenever they do more marketing. I really hate this marketing shit, man, I really do. I've always hated it. See you next time. thanks to all my patrons for the ongoing support. As always, it keeps me here and doing what I'm doing. I give out perks to my patrons, which includes monthly update posts saying what I've got planned and what I'm thinking about. Special thanks to Matteo Olivetti, Nathan Black and Bador Nasser.